Hi everyone. So I'm just here to kind of explain why I chose the 5 artifacts that I did. I'm going to start off with my creative artifact. I chose my art of film class, and the final project here was to create a sequel based off one of the assigned films that we watched for the class. So I claim this to be a creative project because I basically had to apply all that I learned with film vocabulary and filmmaking and film theory and come up with a creation on my own. So my sequel, I chose everything from the title to the casting to the music, visual style, so on and so forth. The next one, the grad level writing and communications artifact, I chose my History of Childhood in America class. For this final project, I did a research paper that discussed how film has become an expression for youth rebellion against parents. I chose this one as grad level writing and communications. First of all, for the overall structure of the research paper, I think I had a interesting introduction that hooked people. I think I had a body that was clear, precise, and full of examples. And then lastly, I had a conclusion that didn't just repeat the same words I used for my body and for my thesis, but I reiterated my points more. The other point that I believed why this fit for the grad level writing and communications is because I had to do a lot more extensive research on this one when it came to the peer review sources. I very much had to dive into film analysis and find reputable sources. I also had to dive deep into film, and I had to communicate effectively how a quote from it actually applied to my discussion on youth rebellion. So overall, that's why I chose that one as my grad level writing and communications artifact. The next one, for the critical creative thinking, I chose my brain learning and personality class. For this final project, I did a paper on how film technique affects human beings' cognitive senses. So this one, why I chose it as a critical creative thinking artifact is because I took basically the critical side of it when it comes to psychology and scientific study. Those are very assessing and judging topics, and then the creative topic was basically the brain's power to feel and how film technique basically kind of manipulates that or plays into that. And so basically I am combining psychological and scientific study and trying to apply it effectively to fine arts and emotion. So that's why I chose that one as the critical creative thinking. And then the other ones I had, my concentration, my track is fine arts, specifically it's literature. So when it comes to the 2 concentrations artifacts, one of them is stories tell more than they say. For that project, I basically had to pick a specific work on how Philip Sidney's purpose of literature, his defense of literature, is valid. So I chose the Twilight Zone, which was a lot of fun to research and to kind of rewatch episodes there. This one, I chose artifact because it's kind of in the title. Storytelling is more than it says. It's not just mindless entertainment. It has the power to do so much more, and that's going to play into my capstone idea. And then the other one for my concentration, I'm going to do my comedy and satire class. This one I did a basically study guide for someone who needs an introduction to a specific comedy genre, and I chose dark comedy. This one I chose because it also plays into my capstone. I basically claimed or proved that there is a usefulness to dark comedy. It's not just morbid, and there's cultural significance to it. And again, that's going to play greatly into my capstone. So after choosing the artifacts and creating the concept maps, basically I had to create the overall mind map for the portfolio. And I realized that all these classes tie into my capstone idea of trying to explain how people shape their identity around pop culture. And this affects my personal life because it kind of reignited my passion for film and literature and pop culture. And I can also talk about it more factually, more clearly with my friends. It affects me professionally because I hope to one day maybe teach these interests of mine when it comes to film and pop culture and literature. So that's how kind of everything ties together. Thanks for listening, guys.